They say suffering destroys people, but Machiavelli would say it refines them. The difference between a slave and a ruler is not what they suffer, but what they do with that suffering. Pain is the oldest teacher in the world. It does not speak kindly. It does not explain itself, but it always leaves a lesson. Machiavelli understood that transformation doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in the storm, in exile, in betrayal, when everything you thought was certain collapses in front of you. That's when the real version of you begins to form. Pain reveals your foundation. When you're comfortable, you can pretend, you can wear masks, act strong, look confident. But when you're broken, the truth shows up. You see who you are when life burns everything down. And that truth, however painful, is the birthplace of power. Machiavelli's rule was simple. Use suffering as fuel, never as a wound to lick, but as energy to rebuild, to sharpen, to dominate. Because those who dwell in their pain become slaves to it, but those who learn to feed on pain become unstoppable. When Machiavelli was exiled from Florence, his life shattered overnight. Friends abandoned him. His name became a curse. His influence vanished. But instead of falling into despair, he turned his exile into enlightenment. He wrote The Prince, a book so powerful it outlived kings and empires. He didn't wait for the world to restore him. He rebuilt himself through strategy, through reflection, through the brutal clarity that only pain can give. That is the Machiavellian principle. If life strips you of everything, use the ruins as your workshop. Turn isolation into innovation. Turn humiliation into hunger. Turn pain into invention. The strong man doesn't avoid suffering. He controls it. He studies it. He bends it to his will. Pain will visit every life. It will test your discipline, your patience, your loyalty to your own dream. But in those moments, you are being given a choice: to surrender to emotion or to command it. Machiavelli would say, if you cannot command your pain, you cannot command your destiny. So the next time you feel broken, ask yourself, who's in charge here, the pain or you? Because power begins the moment you stop running and start listening to your suffering. There is a message buried in it, a call to rise, to adapt, to evolve. Transformation isn't a single act. It's a ritual. Every day, you must choose to suffer intentionally, to push, to sacrifice, to stay silent when others speak, to delay gratification when others indulge. Discipline is the modern form of suffering, and those who master it become architects of their own reality. Pain teaches patience. Failure teaches precision. Loneliness teaches self-sufficiency. Every scar you carry is a symbol of control, not weakness. Remember this: the world honors the ones who rise, not the ones who complain. It respects those who use pain as power, not those who beg for pity. To rise from pain, you must change your identity. Stop saying, I'm suffering. Start saying, I'm transforming. The moment you refrain your suffering, it loses its grip on you. You stop being the victim, and you become the creator. Pain is raw energy. You can let it burn you, or you can forge it into strength. You can use betrayal to sharpen your intuition. You can use heartbreak to build emotional armor. You can use loss to deepen your understanding of life. The Machiavellian mind turns every tragedy into a strategy, every defeat into data, every scar into wisdom. This is how you turn suffering into supremacy, not through luck, not through prayer alone, but through mastery of yourself. In every man's life, there is a death, not of the body, but of identity. A time when who you were must be destroyed, so who you are meant to become can finally emerge. Pain is the fire that burns away the unnecessary, the false friendships, the illusions, the weakness. And once it's done, what's left is pure, dangerous, focused, reborn. That's the transformation Machiavelli spoke of. Not physical change, but psychological rebirth. You stop being reactive. You stop being emotional. You start being strategic. You no longer chase validation. You create value. You no longer seek sympathy. You command respect. This is the rebirth that suffering demands. Machiavelli's final lesson is cold, but true. Power belongs to those who suffer well, If you can endure pain without losing control, you can lead men who cannot. If you can stay composed in chaos, you can shape worlds that others only dream of. Your suffering is not your end. It's your evolution. And the day you realize this truth, you will stop fearing pain and start using it, because what once hurt you will now serve you. What once broke you will now build you. And what once buried you will now crown you. So the next time you face suffering, don't beg for it to end. Welcome it, study it, turn it into art, into action, into empire. Because, in the eyes of Machiavelli, the man who uses suffering is the man who no longer needs mercy. He becomes his own creator, his own ruler, his own revolution. And that is how you use suffering as fuel to invent your life.